Hello, family. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is James Hadnot. Very much appreciate you for coming into this matchup. And when you think about both of these teams up to this point in the year, St. Louis City 2 unbeaten to start this season. One of the best over the course of the last 4 years in this league, and they are showing why they have been a top team all this time. Now we'll take a look at the lineup as we get a chance to see Minnesota first. And for Minnesota, under first-year head coach Fernando Adi, they send out a 5-3-2. The players to watch in this lineup are the men up front, Darius Randall and Marcus Caldera. Both are extremely good in the attack. When the ball is to feet, they can move around. And Caldera, who's a big body in hold-up play, he's going to be a big target with the way that St. Louis City 2 presses. And so that's something that Coach Adi talked about often. And so making sure they can get to Caldera as an outlet and then play forward. Now we take a look at the 11 for Coach David Critchley and St. Louis City 2. For Coach Critchley and company, coming in at 6-0-2 off a win 2-1 last time out versus VCFC. The player to watch in this lineup is Caden Glover, the homegrown. He is one of the young stars of this entire franchise, and obviously Riley Lynch, a player that has scored consistently through this year. Looking forward to seeing what he does here on the road as Coach Critchley and company looking to stay unbeaten to start this year. Minnesota, winners of 3 of their last 4. And as mentioned, St. Louis City 2, they are unbeaten coming into today. For St. Louis, they've already played Minnesota earlier this year, beating them 3-0. And Coach Adi, that was a match in which, looking back on his team, felt it was a turning point. He wanted to play St. Louis early in the season to really test what this group was going to look like. And the team to test is the team that a lot of see as the best. St. Louis and Coach Critchley, they do not want to get bored with being great. Something that I talked with him about this week. We'll have to go on that conversation as the match wears on. It's St. Louis in the white and Minnesota in the black with sky blue trim. Moments away from this duel between 2 of the best teams in the West, even going back to last season. Minnesota shocking most teams and getting to the Western Conference Finals, falling to Colorado. St. Louis, who had such a great regular season, record-breaking regular season, have yet to go back to the MLS Next Pro Cup since their first year in 2022. So still something to play for, despite all of the regular season success for St. Louis. A discrepancy here for first kick. So there will be a conversation in midfield just to make sure that everybody is not only on the same page, but everything is okay. Team's getting a chance to send the ball around a little bit more. We have a word from down below and one of the nets is broken. So obviously, pre-game's peppering the net, making sure that everything was on target. And so that is what's happening right now. Management is trying to make sure that everything is in tip-top shape for this match. Really gives us a chance to wax poetic about both of these teams up to this point. You think about St. Louis and what they've been over the course of the past 4 seasons, arguably the most successful regular season team in this entire league. They have well over 50 wins in the regular season going back to 2022. And when you are that good, sometimes you can get bored with the simple stuff. And that's the work that has to be put in. It can become expected. And Coach Critchley said that he reminds his team every single day that that is not the case. The net is fixed, and we are off here in Rochester, Minnesota. Minnesota United FC2 and St. Louis City 2 in the Western Conference. A Saturday matinee. And Minnesota trying to avenge a loss from earlier in the season. St. Louis trying to stay unbeaten through 9 to start the year. Offside on that ball over the top, looking for Riley Lynch. Tarnu. Possession lost. Glover quickly forward, but nothing there as Ferris goes back. One thing that Coach Adi of Minnesota said of his squad is that we just have to take care of possession. One thing that St. Louis does well is force teams into making mistakes, and that's where their opportunities come. And this ball is lost rather quickly. Minnesota can't settle things. So now St. Louis on the ball. Degans now slithering is Alt. Little drop off. Now out wide, a chance to cross for St. Louis, but this ball sent out of play. Coach Adi said of St. Louis that a lot of their opportunities come closer to goal because of their defending. And so, in building up, it's not something that they have to do often. And so, if the Loons can limit how often they give the ball up in their own half, then Coach Adi believes this team not only will be in this match, that they can come away with 3 points at home. And for Coach Critchley, again, there is a method to the madness. Consistency isn't always fun, but it is what is required, and that is what St. Louis has been. Degans, Pearson, now a turnover. Caldera has runners alongside him. A little tap. This opportunity. Randall's shot blocked away. No clearance. And Minnesota giving St. Louis a bit of their own medicine. Caldera was there after dropping it off. 2 runners in the box. Minnesota could not take advantage of, but an early warning shot from the home side as they look to stop this unbeaten streak of St. Louis. Randall trying to combine was Philip Tarnu, Academy product. This is what Minnesota wants to force St. Louis to do. Build all the way from the back and to really grow into an attack. Ball's played long. Nice possession here. And then the cross is cut out. And there is a foul. You see St. Louis and how they want to attack. Not only is it in their defending, but if they can play direct into runners like Riley Lynch, Caden Glover, or Palmer Alt, and then they can break lines over the top. And that makes things easier as well for CITY2. In goal is Christers Bita. Headed along. Caldera is shoved, but this might work out in St. Louis's favor. Caldera, the big target, great profile. And because of the shove, the ball almost dropped kindly to Darius Randall, but it was cleared out for a corner. Jacob Friedman, inside of 6 minutes, prepares to take this corner for Minnesota. Ball is thumped into the area, headed away initially, then on the volley, wide of the mark. So Lucas McPartland will track down a new ball. St. Louis will have to deal with this Minnesota pressure again. We're talking with Coach Adi this week about his team and what they've started to do this season since their 3-0 loss to St. Louis. He said they really are just gelling. They're on the same page and they're creating a lot of chances. Slicing through is Alt. This ball will find its intended target. DeGons, Pearson, Lillington. Ball moving with some tempo now for St. Louis and some space opening up for the away side. Ushered along. Cross cleared behind for a corner. So St. Louis can connect passes. Don't be fooled with how they defend, how often they have the ball close to goal because of forcing turnovers. So DeGons will take this corner. Played short. Now DeGons trying to create an opportunity for Glover. Second phase of the attack for St. Louis. This shot saved by Bita. It's often that second and third phase that is very difficult to defend, especially for a quick attacking team like St. Louis. Just a yard of space to shoot, and Bita had to make a save. So another corner for St. Louis. Played short again. DeGons, Lillington. Edge of the area now. Spilled in front, then cleared. But St. Louis putting real pressure on Minnesota right now. Pearson. cut out by Nick Dang. They clear it the other way. Although this is a throw-in for St. Louis. Just a chance for Minnesota to catch their breath before another attack begins for St. Louis City. Always one of the top scoring teams in the league. And they're on the prowl once again. Into the area. And another corner for St. Louis. So 3 corners in a matter of minutes for St. Louis City. They started this season on a tear. 3 or more goals in each of their first 3 matches. 2 clean sheets to start the year. One of those a 3-0 victory over this Minnesota side. They've started the year unbeaten in 7. First time the ball has come into the box off the initial corner. And now heading it back towards his goalkeeper was Jack Wagoner. Last time out for St. Louis, it was a victory over Ventura County 2-1. For Minnesota, a win over North Texas SC, a team that they have struggled with over the past couple of years. This is a goal kick. Check that. It will be a corner. Now Minnesota with an opportunity to put some pressure on Lucas McPartland. And the goal for St. Louis. Luciano Hakoda prepares to take it. Comes in tight, flicked out, and another corner for Minnesota. These dead ball situations always so important in tight matchups like this. Bakota puts another one in the area. It's punched away, and with contact inside the 6, a foul and a free kick coming. This is Glover. Can't squeeze one. More central. Good turnover here. Forced. And because of the contact, it is called back for the free kick. St. Louis thought that they could do something, but with it being called back, they'll have to have a free kick. Palmer Alt peels off. This ball is dumped in. Lillington heads it back towards the 18, but It's tracked down by Patrick McDonald. Nothing there for St. Louis. Big diagonal this time. And Alt is picked out. Good defending by Philip Tarnu. Minnesota is a team that also wants to give their youngsters opportunities. Big on the academy system. I've been talking with Coach Adi about this season in comparison to last year. Did say that they did bring back a lot of key members of last year's squad. Darius Randall is one of them. And as they continue to grow and give young players the opportunity, they're going to continue to shine just like Darius Randall, who was at one point in time. Randall wanted it back, but Tarnu was dispossessed. Free kick for Minnesota. Ball's put in. Headed high and out for a goal kick. St. Louis is trying to find a foothold in this match. The Guns can't pick out a teammate. Ball almost won back quickly by Glover. For Randall to go. So a throw in for Minnesota. So a long throw on the horizon for Minnesota. Again, just like the first team, they like to use these types of situations as almost like set pieces. They can put numbers in the area and put pressure on. This ball bounces in. Caldera gets ahead to it. And now Ferris tracks it down. Pumps it back in. Now offside. Here's the decision. This portion of the match is brought to you by the experts at Allina Health. An altogether better kind of healthcare. Learn more at allinahealth.org. Moving into the 19th minute of action. It's St. Louis and Minnesota. No score between these two Western Conference foes. Minnesota making the playoffs last year under Jeremy Hall. It was something that Coach Hall, who is now a head coach in the U.S. Men's Youth National Team system, something that he talked often about with this squad in regards to development. An attack developing right now for Minnesota, and a corner now coming. Corner for Minnesota. It's going to be Luciano Pacoda again, as he has to do some grounds work before he can take the corner, picking up the corner flag. Pacoda pumps one towards the back post, and a complete miss by McPartland, but no header in the end from Jaden Bernard. Every former goalkeeper will say on those long balls, you have to get a hand to the cross over the top. If you don't, then you're dead in the water. And McPartland had a life jacket, as he does not find his team down by a goal. Jaden Bernard was available and just could not finish. And those are the chances that Coach Adi has talked about, the ones you have to have. So Bernard tracks this down. Ball quickly turned back over, and something brewing for St. Louis. Now 5v4. And Caden Glover going to be mad at himself that he didn't do better there. The corner still for St. Louis. Those are the opportunities in which St. Louis City thrive. St. Louis has played a fair share of their corners short. No short option this time. Ball comes in with pace. And it's Tarnu who heads it away. Poor ball, and now Randall was trying to catch McPartland off his line, but did not get any power or anything behind that shot to put it over McPartland as it rolls right to his feet. Now Alt, one of the top scorers for St. Louis coming into this match. Tarnu sends the ball central. Doesn't find his intended target. Now Michel. Ferris. Bernard. Nice idea. Can't connect. The attacking half. Darius Randall just loses his footing. And there's a foul on Tarnu. This portion of the match is brought to you by Allianz Life Insurance Company of North America, proud worldwide insurance partner of the International Olympic and Paralympic Committees. 24th minute of action. St. Louis and Minnesota. No score. Match had some tempo early on. St. Louis was moving the ball with some pace, creating some opportunities. But Minnesota has settled in. It's their second time playing St. Louis. The first time, Coach Adi was honest in saying that it was a test for us. Passed the test through 35 minutes. Now McPartland, way off his line, almost gave it away. Now an opportunity for St. Louis. DeGons can't keep possession as Lynch was trying to connect with him. Darius Randall into the space, but just not enough speed to find his own pass. Wagner. Back to Lillington. Fine here. Lynch on the outside. Wagner is shoved down from behind. DeGons wins this back. A key slide tackle there from Nick Dang. You have to be brave. Bernard couldn't gain possession. Now St. Louis threatening. Junt. DeGons. Pearson joining along. Great ball in. The rebound was also saved, but offside was the decision. That was an excellent ball in from Chris Pearson. It was Alt who had the header. He was also offside. Talking with Coach Critchley about Palmer Alt, he said, to say it plainly, he's just a goal scorer. Alt always pops up in the right places to score goals, and that's one thing that the coaching staff wants to continue not only to see from him, but also coach too, because they want for his teammates to be able to find him in the right spaces and in the right places. But Alt does the difficult part by being in the right pockets. Now, long ball towards Randall. Underlap is Tarnu. He receives it. Contacts, but DeGons was there first. So no penalty. Nice touch around. Mike Glover. Excellent idea here as DeGons has some decisions to make, and Philip Tarnu has been good today. So a throw in for St. Louis as we near the 30th minute of action. Long throw. Too much aggression outside the 6-yard box. And Fernando Adi of Minnesota United FC2 is in his first year as head coach, a longtime member of the coaching staff with the second team, as well as in the entire organization. Spent time as an academy coach, spent time with Coach Ramsey prior to Coach Hall. Has a really good relationship with this team. Caldera is the guilty party. The pass was behind him. He was trying to make the most of it, but too frisky and too handsy outside the 6, trying to win the ball. And I asked Coach Adi about his role now in comparison to his role as an assistant coach or even as an academy coach, and he said that he has to be measured. Can't always go after these young players because they are developing. But remembers Coach Ramsey talking often about the best way to get the most out of these players, especially at this age. And does know when to kind of get on them and when to lay off a bit. He hasn't had a lot to be negative about in the last couple of matches. As mentioned, wins in 3 of their last 4. Taking down North Texas recently. And now this is a much taller task, trying to take down the team at the top of the Western Conference. A longer spell of possession now for Minnesota. Bernard Ferris slices in. Good ball to Pacoda. Now Randall. Darius Randall puts it on frame. McPartland very tidy in goal. First ball from Wagner wide. So Minnesota will have possession again. A lot of contact here. And so down is Marcus Caldera. There will be a free kick.
Substitution for St. Louis City 2 in the 33rd minute. Leaving the game, number 46, Caden Glover. And checking in, number 70.
Caden Glover is going to come off. And Evan Carlock, the 18-year-old, is going to come on. So after the foul, a free kick for Minnesota. Pacoda. Puts the ball in. It's handled, and poor ball trying to break loose. Carlock goes back. These teams have history. Mentioned Minnesota getting to the Western Conference Final last year. They took down St. Louis in St. Louis at Energizer Park. Stunning City 2, 2-0. And St. Louis with a point to prove in their first match of the year, their first time they saw Minnesota since that playoff loss. Now off this turnover, chance for St. Louis. Ball's drawn back, but no power behind it as Carlock put it on frame. Tarnu looking for the early ball. Caldera will watch it bounce. Still with Minnesota. And this will be a corner. It was St. Louis who got out of the gates early, but since then, Minnesota has settled in. Another corner for the home side. Opportunity to take the lead on the team at the top of the West. Once again towards the back post, it's Bernard again. Corralled. The shot from Friedman is blocked away. Friedman, an opportunity to send another ball in. That's dealt with. Real tension now as the rope tightening. Minnesota looking for that first goal. Good control. Randall. Hits the upright. Uzanos from the crowd. This portion of the match is brought to you by Target. Target is here for the love of the Loons. McPartland had to be on his P's and Q's as the corners are starting to rack up for Minnesota. This is Tarnu. Ball pinballs around, and it will be with Minnesota. Eighth minute of action. Minnesota has a free kick. Lofted ball. Headed out by Minnesota. Interesting to see what both coaches do at halftime. For St. Louis, defensively, they have put the pressure on Minnesota. They've won the ball back in their own half on multiple occasions, but for the most part, the Loons have really dealt with the pressure put on by St. Louis. And this is something that St. Louis over the past couple of seasons prior under Coach Bobby Murphy and last year with Coach Critchley, before he moved up to the first team, wanting to be better in the builds, making a concerted effort on not just having to create from defensive pressure. And here today, on one occasion, that was the case. Other than that, really have not threatened Minnesota. Pressure being put on by Minnesota. They force the turnover, and the ball given right back. Alt is upended. That will be a foul. I have not heard very often from Palmer Alt in this match outside of being offside on a header. This is Junt. DeGons. Wagner. Ball out wide towards Lynch. Nice little slip ball. Bernard can't keep it from rolling out for a St. Louis corner. Interested to see what St. Louis does here with this corner as we wind down half number one. Always have a couple of tricks up their sleeve. Played short here. Possession still with St. Louis. And the entry was denied. Possession won back quickly. DeGons can usher it along. Minnesota doing well defending. Close to their 18. Now this ball comes in, headed around. Bernard, calm on the ball. Extra ball out wide, and now Minnesota with a chance to break. It was Mitchell who was trying to do it by his lonesome. And ball rolls out for a St. Louis throw. Carlock, the substitute, came on here in the first half for Caden Glover. He's cleaned out. And although his pass was errant, the contact from Jacob Friedman enough to give St. Louis a free kick. Played quickly, DeGons. Pearson. Good ball out wide. More central now is St. Louis. Junt. Nice diagonal. Nothing in the end for St. Louis. Good box defending from Minnesota. But Randall, trying to be too cute, loses it to Pearson. Alt. Not enough wheels to get rolling. Now if you're Minnesota, with this pressure that St. Louis is going to put on, don't want to make a mistake that could really hamper you. Good dribbling there. As one of attack switches. Something potentially on the horizon for Minnesota. Bernard. A couple of step overs, but his entry is cut out. Randall can't slice through two defenders. Pearson, a poor pass. 45th minute of action as we near added time. Still no score. Mitchell. Ferris. Now Pacoda. Into Tarnu. Randall racing in. Driven ball. Caldera was the target. Fourth official announcing a minimum of 1 minute of added time to this first half. So if Minnesota takes its time, this could be one of the final actions of the first half. It is Pacoda who has taken most of the corners from this side. He is over there again. A lot of traffic in and around the 6-yard box now for Minnesota as they want to put pressure on McPartland. Pacoda launches the ball towards the back post. It was Tarnu who was up for it. And another corner for Minnesota. We have played our minimum of 1 minute. Fans and mascots alike looking on as the Loons are threatening. Another good ball. But Tarnu can't put this one on frame. And there is your halftime whistle. So nothing setting apart Minnesota or St. Louis through 45 minutes. Your score at the half, Minnesota 0, St. Louis 0. Coming up in our halftime show, one of the best young stars in MLS traces his soccer roots after this brief timeout.
Fans after the final whistle of today's match. Players with his signed autograph. Meet in the southwest corner in the 85th minute to participate.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
Welcome back to Rochester, Minnesota, as we get you ready for halftime. Wednesday night, Julian Hall scored the first goal in a wild match for the Red Bulls after helping Red Bulls to the MLS Next Pro Cup Championship last season. Let's track this remarkable journey for a young star.
Julian Hall, remember the name. It's that man again, Julian Hall. Let's go, it goes in. Mehmeti, has he broken through here? Mehmeti across, Hall. Swinging ball towards the back post, it goes. Open goal for Red Bull New York, Julian Zakshevsky Hall.
Born in Manhattan, New York, Julian Hall found the game the same way a lot of kids in this city do.
I first kind of started playing soccer when I was around 4 years old. I would play a lot wherever I could, if it was a field near my apartment or wherever I could, basically. And I just remember, falling in love with the game and wanting to play as much as I can. There's a main place I would play. It's pretty popular in Manhattan. It's called Pier 40, and a lot of people go there. That's where I played with Manhattan Kickers. It's kind of where I really started to realize I really wanted to play soccer seriously and maybe make it professionally.
That love for the game turned into an opportunity, a move into one of the top academies in the country.
Julian came into our system at U14. I think he played about 3 or 4 games with the U14s. I was a U15 coach at the time, so I was observing those games, and you could see straight away he was a special talent. So he quickly got moved up an age group to play with the U15s that season. Made an instant impact with the older age groups.
The level changed quickly, and so did the expectations.
I was very excited to come in and show my ability, and I was playing with my age and I was playing a year up, and the intensity was a different level, I would say, from what I've ever played at that point in my life. So yeah, no, it's an amazing experience.
Chimueno scored off the bench against Seattle, and Julian Hall with the breakthrough. The Golden Boot leader rises to the occasion, and we've got an electric finish here in the U15 final.
He's one of those players that can get you up off your feet. Like, he's direct, he can take players on, he can score goals from inside the box, outside the box in really different ways. And, it would always amaze you how he would find goals in the game.
The next step brought a new set of challenges.
That was the biggest jump for me, going from academy to professional football. The intensity, the physicality, the football, it was all quicker than anything I had experienced before. And, I just thought I did a good job of staying level-headed and not being discouraged about little things.
Working to the midfield, now Gonzalez entering the box, across and a goal! Julian Hall puts the Red Bulls 2 on the board.
I was lucky to be coached by Ibrahim Sakaya, and Bradley Wright Phillips was there a lot of the time as well. They did a good job of helping me progress and helping me not get discouraged and keep going every single day and working hard. The coaching staff really mended me very well.
Like, he's always striving to try and get better at something within games and training. And then, why he adapts well, he's a natural goal scorer.
For Julian, it was about staying level and keeping the work the same.
When you go to a professional environment, if you're doing the most amount of work and you're clearly working harder than everyone else, it stands out to a lot of people, and that can be something that separates you from everyone else. If you're a hard worker, that could get you to a lot of places, and I think that's just something that established me when I first came into the first team.
That work and mentality has paid off with the fast start this season.
We're really happy with the way that he's moving himself forward. He has taken the ideas and has really shown that he is picking things up. Obviously, there's the attacking part, his ability to find chances, his ability to take balls on the move, to dribble, to go by guys, run in the box. The part that goes with it is how much work he does for us against the wall, how much pressing, how much sprinting, how much chasing, how much work he does to really make the game difficult on the other team. And so we're really, really happy with the progress that he's made. We're going to continue to push him.
As he continues to grow, so does the chemistry with his teammates around him.
I've known Julian for a very long time now. I see the way he works in training. I'm getting to know him more and more, obviously, as we play together on and off the field. And then when I step onto the field, I know where he's going to be on the field, what his positioning is like, where he wants the ball, left foot, right foot. And we're kind of growing that connection, which has been going in a really good way, and hopefully, to grow that connection even more.
Mehmeti, has he broken through here? Mehmeti across, Hall! 2-0!
I think it's just the trust with the coaching staff. Coach Michael, he's done a great job with us during preseason and putting trust in me to start the first couple games. It's a lot of credit to him for putting his belief in me. Obviously, I have to go out there and perform to the best of my ability, and thankfully, I've got a couple goals so far. The goal is to keep progressing throughout the season.
Talent and work ethic have helped Julian's dreams come true faster than even he could have predicted.
I've always dreamt of becoming a professional soccer player, but I never really expected to happen so fast, to be honest. Earlier that year, I was still just playing academy, and I was progressing well, but I never thought it would lead to signing a contract later that year. So it's kind of a lesson there just to be ready for anything, and anything can happen very, very quickly. You really just have to put your all into whatever you're doing, and things can happen. I think a big thing is just self-belief, because when I was playing in MLS Next, I was signing a contract later that season. I had no idea. I did not have a plan on signing that year. That was not in my plan at all. I think things like that can come from just you doing as much as you can, and things will just happen by itself, as long as you're working hard and giving 100% every single day, good things will happen. And, thankfully things came to me that year, and, you got to be grateful, and you got to use it as much as you can to your abilities.
It's crazy how in 2023, Julian Hall was a young teenager at the GA Cup. He was the talk of that tournament along with Captain Sullivan, and now both of them are in the league scoring goals and causing waves. We're back here in Rochester, Minnesota. Minnesota United FC 2 and St. Louis City 2 are at 0-0. As we get ready to look at the upcoming schedule. The upcoming schedule for later on today and tomorrow. A derby in the state of Texas, North Texas SC and Austin FC 2. And then tomorrow, a rematch of the Eastern Conference Final between Red Bulls and Philadelphia. Another fun match will be Crown Legacy in Orlando City as they look to break their all-time record to start a season unbeaten. St. Louis unbeaten as well through their first 8 matches, and they're trying to continue their unbeaten streak, and Minnesota trying to snap it and make it a result in 4 of their last 5. So let's take a look at our highlights from the first half. Although there was no score, it was St. Louis doing what they do best, putting pressure on their opponent and creating chances. This was Pearson who put it over the top, and Palmer Alt was offside. Alt, one of the leading goal scorers for the team. And then St. Louis, another chance. As this ball was drawn back, no real power behind it as Carlock had come on. And then Minnesota, one of their lone chances of the first half. As the ball balances out for the Loons. Moving right along. Slipped ball in, just out of reach of Alt, and that's been the thing for St. Louis today. Just a tick off kilter. This was late in the first half. Darius Randall driving at the back line. Ball was on its way to Caldera at the back post. And Minnesota and St. Louis are still level. We'll take a break and be back for the second half.
be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it! Julian Hall, remember the day!
Moments away from the second half between St. Louis City 2 and Minnesota United FC 2 in the Western Conference. James Hadnot here with you, my fantastic One Football crew. Those joining us on One Football, those joining us on MLSNextPro.com. Super excited for the second half, simply because something's got to give. It is Minnesota who is looking to win 4 of their last 5 matches, and it's St. Louis who's looking to start the season unbeaten in 9. For St. Louis City 2 and Coach David Critchley, he managed just over 15 matches last year for the first team after the dismissal of the first team manager. And for Coach Critchley, he said he not only learned more about managing personalities, also enjoyed just the football at the first team level, and the tactics very similar, but it is the people and learning how to manage those personalities that he really grew and has taken back down to this second team. We're underway in half number 2. Minnesota in the black and St. Louis in the white.
Number 62, Jamone Barkley.
St. Louis trying to deal with this pressure being put on. Now Barclay, who's just come on. Wonderful idea into Lynch. Barclay continues to run. Lynch's shot takes a deflection as it rolls to Beta. Jerome Barclay scored in a couple matches recently. Coach Critchley talked about his insertion into the lineup and how he, along with Palmer Alt, have been big-time scoring threats. Look at that speed from Mitchell, putting some real pressure on McPartland to have to come out and clear that away. And so DeGons comes out, a like-for-like sub. As Barclay will play on the left side in that left back position. Really a left wing back in this 3-4-3 setup. And they'll give him the opportunity to join the attack and really just provide himself as an option. Bernard. Dump forward. Barclay trying to get onto it. Good profile, big body. And you see already on 2 occasions in the thick of the attack. Minnesota playing with their food a bit in the back, but they end up finding a way forward. Randall battling. Ball's turned over. But offside was the decision as Randall had gone too far. Talked about the earlier meeting this season, a growing experience for Minnesota, and the last time for St. Louis that they notched a clean sheet. So Coach Critchley saying that this team looks at their season in 5-match intervals. And so the first 5 matches, obviously, they had 2 clean sheets. They had 7 goals in their first 2 matches, and things were on the up and up. Recently, they are still unbeaten, but they haven't had the same defensive prowess as they did early in the year. And so that was the main thing coming into today that they wanted to focus on. They wanted to make things difficult on Minnesota and notch a clean sheet potentially. They did the job in the first half. The second half is going to be a different animal as Minnesota starts to hunker down a little bit more themselves. And as mentioned earlier in the first half, they use these throw-ins like the first team as quasi-set pieces to get numbers in the box and force their opponents to defend cleanly. Long ball is in. Up for it was Tarnu. Headed forward, and now St. Louis in possession. Carlock, who started this match with sleeves, but it is a little warm, so those sleeves have come off. Nice header. McDonald, central. And there is a foul on Bernard. First, have to give credit to Patrick McDonald as he was able to corral that on the run. Then as the ball came central, able to create a chance.
Yellow card caution issued to NAUFC 2's number 61, Jaden Bernard, in the 50th minute.
Meeting of the minds right now. Meeting of the minds right now. The line being set by the referee. Jaden Bernard did receive a yellow card for that tackle. And now 3 potential takers for St. Louis. And Pearson puts it over the crossbar. Christers Vida will have to do it again. Early moments of this second half between Minnesota and St. Louis. Turnover. That ball does pop up on the hands of Carlock. See which side in this second half can really settle into some possession. That's not really the forte of St. Louis. So if Minnesota could relieve some of the pressure put on by City and then could be patient on the ball, they might be able to find themselves a chance. Now Barclay squeaking through. He has been up to the task early in this match since coming on in this half. Mitchell. Vigilant. And now Tarnu locates Darius Randall. Rising star for these Loons. Ferris. Bernard. Ferris just pumps the ball forward. Had eyes for Marcus Caldera, who's been rather quiet today outside of one opportunity. That's another thing that this suffocating pressure defense does for St. Louis. It tends to keep Some players in check. Pearson, perfect ball. Palmer Alt. Driving. 1-2. Alt. Will not have a chance. It's good defending by Ferris. It's never easy. What a ball. Lynch takes the touch. Too heavy in the end. Now the match starting to open up 10 minutes through this first half. Lynch was in on goal, but his first touch too heavy. Another good ball over the top. Flag stays down. St. Louis with a chance. Corner. Back and forth we go in the second half. Down for Minnesota. Gets back to his feet. '56th minute, corner for St. Louis. Ball comes in. Pinballs around. And Minnesota will look to counter. Great ball into Mitchell. Ushers it in. Randall hits it first time. And McPartland is there. Easily in the end to make a save. So Riley Lynch. Another player that has had a very good season up to this point. That was a good counter for Minnesota, especially with the ball that found Randall. Now St. Louis. Driven to the byline, and now a goal kick. Bernard. Possession lost, back to St. Louis. And this match is becoming more and more wide open as we near half an hour. That was a dangerous ball back from Pearson with Caldera there. Lynch. Cutting in onto his left. And balloons this out. Should be a throw for Minnesota. This portion of the match is brought to you by Bell Bank, a family and employee-owned bank. 58th minute of action, turning to the 59th. Still no score between Minnesota and St. Louis. And still plenty of time remaining in this match as we near a half an hour still to go. But as it wears on, and with the defensive prowess of St. Louis, Minnesota not only going to be worried about scoring a goal, but not making a mistake in the build, because there's no offside on a throw-in. Quick action for St. Louis, and the shot is scooped up. Slip ball back. This shot is sprayed wide. But now St. Louis starting to flex their defensive muscles a bit. The big thing coming into this match for St. Louis City 2 was a clean sheet.
Leaving the game, number 14, Kenyel Mitchell. And checking in, number 64, Isa Saidi. Also leaving the game, number 61, Jaden Bernard. And checking in, number 92, Alpha Kavia.
Two substitutions for Minnesota. Issa Saidi and Alpha Kabia both come on. First teamer Kenyel Mitchell comes off, and the youngster Jaden Bernard also comes off. Bernard was on a yellow card, and so now nobody on a booking for either side in the match currently. Wellington goes back to his goalkeeper, who just launches this into the air. Some contact, but nothing there, and Ferris settling possession. Kabia quickly towards Randall. Caldera, what a chested touch. Ball is spilled. Caldera can't score it. There was coverage on the line as Caldera rounded McPartland. His back line was there as stalwarts. It looks like it's Lillington who gets the last touch to ensure we stay on level terms at 0-0. And that was just a grandiose chested down ball from Caldera. It's good IQ. Long ball sent forward from Lillington. And a throw-in coming for Minnesota. And the head coach for Minnesota United, Fernando Adi, one of the top goal scorers in the history of MLS. He's the second all-time leading goal scorer for the Portland Timbers. This ball pops up and then dumped forward. Beta well off his line. Now, as the ball fired the other way, neither side able to really gain possession. Riley Lynch was offside. Well, this is Kentucky Derby weekend, and both of these teams back and forth like racehorses in this second half. They have taken the blinders off, and they have just been hustling and bustling back and forth. Neither side really having a steady diet of possession. It's pedal to the metal. And an injury now for St. Louis. Time is kind of being taken for the injured player. Chance to regroup for both squads. Kind of talking about Minnesota, and for Coach Adi, really wants this side to be difficult to break down, difficult to beat. And they have been that today. And in the last match versus St. Louis, I asked him, well, what was the difference? What did you guys clean up? And he just said, unforced errors. 2 of the 3 goals that were scored by St. Louis were off of our mistakes. Those were the words of Coach Adi. And they have not made those mistakes today, and they have had some clean chances today. Has Minnesota. Still can't get a good look of the player who's down. Player is up. It looks like Carlock, who is walking off the field under his own power. That is a good sight that he's walking off under his own power.
66th minute. Late in the game, number 36, Jacob Friedman. And checking in, number 50, Max Harwood.
Maxwell Harwood is coming on for Jacob Friedman. And Harwood comes on.
Substitution.
Also a substitution now. And that's tough to see. Evan Carlock came on as a substitute for Caden Glover, but now his day comes to a close with the injury. And Lorenzo Cornelius comes on. So it's Cornelius on, Carlock off. And we'll see how that changes the attack for St. Louis. Pearson into Barclay. Still with it as Tarnu watches him. Great idea. This ball's loose for a moment and then scooped up. Minnesota coming the other way. Randall now working this left side. Vigilant. Big switch. Great ball. Unable to control it was CITY. And Barclay just clears it the other way. Anderson Ferris. Randall works through 3 defenders, earns his team a corner. This portion of the match is brought to you by the experts at Allina Health, an altogether better kind of healthcare. Learn more at allinahealth.org. 68th minute. Luciano Pacoda prepares to take this corner. Both teams with some half chances here in this second half. There's been good action, but the final product hasn't been there. Kokoda, again, nice service. No clearance just yet. And now a lot of contact inside St. Louis's 18-yard box. Fans voicing their displeasure. And Nick Dang will receive a yellow card for his part in those proceedings. Which team can have a sustained spell in possession and really break down their opponent? That is out. And Minnesota will have possession now. Will they use this as an opportunity to put the ball in the box? You bet. So it's Nick Dang to trigger it. Great throw. Lillington is there. Now the shot doesn't beat the first wave. Ferris does the smart thing and just sprays it out for a throw-in. 20 minutes remain in this second half. Neither side able to break through just yet. Barclay in possession. Pearson. Patrick McDonald can't corral it. Something brewing now for Minnesota. Long ball. Caldera was the target. Hartland tracking it the entire way. Keeps this in. Ferris. And you hear David Critchley imploring his side to pick up the energy. Things becoming a little stagnant after some back and forth play through the first 25 minutes of this half. Barclay gives it away. Pearson is able to poke it back. Now a chance for Minnesota. Everyone thinking there should be a penalty except for the man whose opinion matters. Now Barclay cannot beat Tarnoot, who has played a very smooth match today defending. Whether it was DeGons, whether it's now been Barclay down that left side, he has not given an inch. Now Riley Lynch around Ferris. Good ball forward, but nothing for McDonald. That's Nick Dang on a yellow card. Has to be careful, but got that right. So just as we saw with Minnesota, St. Louis will take this opportunity to put the ball in the area. Off the throw-in. Zach Lillington ready to let it rip. Not a clean clearance. A chance for a recycled ball. Drawn in. Takes a deflection and just scuttles to the right of the right crossbar. So as this ball is pulled back, no clean contact there. So with no clean contact and the deflection to take the bite out of the ball, not troubling. Lynch is at the end line. Now Randall trying to use his speed. Can't complete the switch. Wagner. Pearson. Back to McPartland. Pearson. Turnover. Randall waiting for reinforcements. This ball will stay in. Tarnu. Nick Dang. Ferris. And that ball is cleared away. This portion of the match is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. Tried and true blue. '77th minute. Nick Dang with this throw in for Minnesota. Loons still with it. Tarnu, a fluttering ball in, will scoot right to McPartland. Tries to set the attack loose. And out of play goes Riley Lynch.
Substitutions for St. Louis City 2.
Substitutions will be made now for St. Louis.
And checking in, number 54, Adete Badahan. Also late in the game, number 88, Patrick McDonald. And checking in, 85, Ichiro
Ichiro
Ota.
Ota will come on. And Adeteye Badahan also coming on. Minnesota. Sends this ball into the area. Headed along by Issa CITY. Now McPartland launches this the other way. Stay in play. Dang. Ferris. Now Wagner. Ota. Good ball. Lynch was offside. Ferris stepping in front of it was Stone Marion. 80th minute now. And we have reached that danger zone for both squads. But the way that they are defending and pressing, one mistake could actually be the difference. One attack could earn all 3 points. Randall for Minnesota. Drives this ball in. It skips through. Now Ota just came on as a sub. As possession taken away by Tarnu. St. Louis winning it back. Who will keep possession? Who will find the breakthrough? Lynch. Wagner. And Lynch is fouled. Free kick played quickly by St. Louis. Pearson, excellent ball into Barclay. Driving it in. And a clearance by Kabia behind 4 corner. Just a really nice ball from Pearson to switch the point of attack. Find Barclay, who's an attacking player. But in this instance, Barclay just trying to connect with a teammate, making that diagonal run across. On the corner. 82nd minute. St. Louis plays short. Ushered along. Better angle. Cross is blocked. Second phase. A nice little touch. And the shot is blocked away for another corner. A long sequence here. It looked like it's Barclay who makes a touch. And then Pearson, the shot. Another opportunity for St. Louis here late in this match. Contact was made coming around, but it wasn't towards goal. Possession still with St. Louis. As the attack continues. Ball's pulled back to no one in particular. Kabia. Randall. Turns it over. This could be trouble. But a poor ball put in by Lorenzo Cornelius. It was cleared behind 4 corners. So now the 3rd corner over the last 3 minutes for St. Louis here late in this match. What's at stake? St. Louis trying to stay unbeaten to start 2026. It would be their 9th straight match in which they earned a result for Minnesota. They would be winners of 4 or 5 if they could find something in the attack here late. Nothing on the initial corner, and an errant ball in the end. This is where your touches have to be clean. You have to believe in what you're doing, and just as we say that, that is an unforced error that gives St. Louis a corner. Corner played very quickly. As numbers arrive, this ball sent into the box. I can stay down. Driven ball in, completely dealt with, and a throw in for St. Louis. This has been a choppy game after a back and forth start in the second half. That also just means that any sliver of hope, any slice of a chance will get the job done at this point. 85th minute, ball's headed around. Minnesota trying to break. Randall. And he is fouled, and a free kick upcoming for Minnesota now. So after what was 4 corners, St. Louis gets nothing. And Minnesota now steps up to the plate. Good little touch around. Badihan. So it's Anderson Ferris. Take this free kick. Ferris would like to put it right in front of the 6-yard box, in between the 6-yard box and the penalty area. That's where the ball comes. Badihan into Ota. Ota turns it over. Randall more central to Caldera. Ball pops out wide. And clean defending from Lillington. 87th minute now. Minnesota is a team that can grind out matches. We see it at the first team level, and now this second team doing the same. Long throw. Ball's headed down. Chance for another entry for Minnesota. This looping ball. And McPartland just gets a piece of it as Caldera put his body on the line. Both teams leaving it all out there here late. Almost a very bad giveaway. Lynch latches on to this. Ota is behind him. Now Lynch back into the area. Booted away. Wagner. Lynch. Around Down one defender. Around a second. Driving it in. Ball drops kindly to Ota, but his shot is blocked. So Pearson gives it away. Caldera. Now CITY. A golden chance for Minnesota that the Loons could not take advantage of. McPartland does his best to cut down the angle, but CITY knows he should do better there. We're in the 90th minute. If this match was to finish with neither side scoring a goal, we would go to penalties. Both sides will earn a point, and the winner of the penalty shootout would earn the extra point. It would mean that St. Louis would stay unbeaten through their first 9, and that Minnesota would have a result in 4 of their last 5. Neither side want to go to penalties if they don't have to. Ball is in. Marion. Pearson. Barclay along. Pulled back. Now off this turnover. No clearance just yet. Barclay does well to keep possession. Now Badihan. Ball comes in. Still with St. Louis. 4th official saying 4 minutes is what we have left in this match. And this ball nestles into the hands of Bita. Pearson, first to that ball, battling with Caldera. Good defending by Tarnu, and he's been the defensive MVP today for Minnesota. Doesn't matter who has challenged him down that left side. He has had his hard hat on, and he's had the tools to defend. Does Minnesota have a moment of magic? Can St. Louis create something in the defense? We have played 2 minutes of our minimum of 4. Philip Tarnu again shielding away, not giving up anything. Now Badihan. Throw behind, Ferris. Not strong enough to win that possession. But Lynch can't keep that in play as we near 3 minutes of our minimum of 4 gone. Fouled into the air. Now their side can control. Barclay able to turn. Takes a high bounce. But it will be Minnesota's possession. Ball played quickly by the Loons. Last gasp now for the home side. Nothing there. Lynch trying to gain something. That'll be a foul. Randall over the top. Caldera. Can't get the job done. And we go to a shootout. Full time. Minnesota 0, St. Louis 0. Both sides earn a point. Both were the result. And now we'll see who will earn the extra point in the shootout when we return.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
All righty, well, this is the scenario. We are now getting ready for our penalty shootout in MLS Next Pro. There are no matches that end in just ties. If a match ends level on the scoreboard, then we go to a shootout to see who earn an extra point for the league standings. So, St. Louis now 9 unbeaten to start the year, 6 wins, no losses, and 3 draws. And after a strugglesome start to the year for Minnesota, they now have a result in 4 of their last 5. 3 of those outright wins in regulation. If you are Minnesota, you will feel like you should have found all 3 points at home today. 2 really good opportunities late in the match. The first for Issa CITY and the other for Marcus Caldera. And at the end of the match, you have one of your leading goal scorers in on goal. So you have to credit St. Louis for not conceding and earning that first clean sheet since the last time they played Minnesota. If you are St. Louis coming on the road in a hostile environment, a place where you really needed to find something to keep your mojo going, you earn the point and now could take 2 points off of the Loons. So now the goalkeepers step to center stage. Lucas McPartland and Christers Bita.
Heading to his spot for
Minnesota.
UFC 2, number
Who will
22,
shoot
Marcus
first?
Caldera.
Marcus Caldera, the aforementioned, who had those late opportunities, definitely wants to take advantage early on in this shootout. He'll start things for the Loons. And Caldera calmly tucks it away. Minnesota in front by a goal, by one in this shootout.
Now up for St. Louis City 2, number 42, Palmer Alt.
So now Palmer Alt, who has stepped on the scene and been very good for St. Louis early on in this year. I asked Coach Critchley about Alt. He said to keep it plain, he just scores goals. Alt can't score from the spot.
Now headed to the spot for MNUFC 2, number 59.
St. Louis
Anderson
goes
Barrett.
down immediately. 1-0 in this shootout. It's Ferris now. And Anderson Ferris, he's not taking a day off from the spot as he scores. And it's 2-0 after two taken
Next up for St.
for
Louis City 2,
Minnesota.
number
St.
62,
Louis now will
Jamal
take their
Barkley.
second. They do not want to fall farther behind. Jerome Barclay will step up now. Barclay, who converted a penalty for St. Louis, a part of his goal tally this year. He is one of the penalty kick takers for the team. Called upon in this big moment. And Barclay, cool as ice. A curling ball,
Next up
almost
for
unstoppable,
MNUFC 2,
even
number
if
95, Sam
Vita went the
Vigilante.
right way. So Vigilante will come on now to give Minnesota a dominant 3-1 lead. And Vigilante gets the job done. As McPartland guessed wrong, diving to his right. So Vigilante went right down the middle.
Next up for St. Louis City 2, number 41, Chris Pearson.
Now Chris Pearson from his center back spot did well in trying to locate teammates. Also had a good ball over the top to Palmer Alt that was put on frame. One of the lone true chances. And just trying to get into the head of Pearson is Christers Bita. Pearson was phased. He expected Bita to move, but Christers Bita stood resolute.
Headed to the spot for
And a
MNUFC 2,
poor
number
penalty from
35,
Chris Pearson
Philip
right into the
Turner.
hands of Christers Bita. And now Minnesota can finish the job here. Sprayed wide by Philip Tarnu. He could do no wrong in the run of play. But his first blunder of the day.
Next up for St. Louis City 2, number 66.
So the door
Zach
still open
Lillington.
for St. Louis. Lillington must score. And Lillington with a firecracker keeps the dream alive for St. Louis to earn the extra
Now
point.
headed to this spot for MNUFC 2, number 17, Darius Randall.
Now Darius Randall. McPartland now proceeding forward, trying to mess with the mind of Randall. If Randall scores, Minnesota earns the extra point. And Darius delivers. Minnesota earns the extra point against the team at the top of the table in the Western Conference. The final today, 0-0. And Minnesota taking the extra point on penalties. And so the man of the match, presented by Adidas, is going to be the man that converted the final penalty for Minnesota, and one of the rising stars of this second team space, Darius Randall. Randall not able to get on the score sheet today. He was all throughout the attack and creating for Minnesota against this difficult defense of St. Louis. And for Darius Randall, there's somebody that he is often talked about, not only just with this coaching staff, but even going back to the prior coaching staff with Jeremy Hall. So the man of the match, presented by Adidas, is Darius Randall. Final penalty converted in the shootout. And Randall is your man of the match, presented by Adidas. Well, thank you so much for joining us from Rochester, Minnesota. The final, once again, 0-0. St. Louis and Minnesota play to a draw, and the Loons earn the extra point in a shootout win. With my fantastic One Football crew, my name is James Hadnot, saying so long from Minnesota. You can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at OneFootball and MLSNextPro.com. Have a blessed evening.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.